Welcome back to Light Talk, where everyday people can share their own unique spiritual journey stories in a unique way. And if you have any stories, feel free to email me at lighttalk423@gmail.com. And while you're at it, click on the like, share, and subscribe buttons down below. Well, let's welcome our wonderful guest today. So we're going to hand the mic over to her. So take it over.
Dana, thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm really excited to speak to you and your audience, so thank you.
Oh, no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm located in New Jersey. My business is Hands of Light by Rosemary, and I teach people how to safely connect with the angel realm. I teach them how to develop their spiritual gifts of intuition, higher awareness, calming. I also teach Reiki, all levels through to Master Teacher. And I do readings for people. I have self-study and I have a podcast on Bold Brave TV this year on Tuesdays at 10. And I wanted to share I guess some things that brought me along my path. So I was a school teacher for 32 years, and I've always been really connected, I guess, with intuitive information. Even when I was really young, people would come to me that asked my advice, or I would just know things about people before I met them. So I had this intuition kind of hardwired into me, and I thought everybody had it. I thought it was perfectly, everybody knew what I knew. And as I realized through life, we do all have it. We have it to different degrees, but I just assumed that people wouldn't look at me funny when I told them something that I couldn't possibly know. So fast forward to my adult life. I was teaching kids at the time, and when I was going for a master's degree in education and reading. And one of the last classes I took for education was a stress management workshop for children. And during that time, we had a day of silence, which was very frustrating for me because I had all these words. And we had to walk around campus and just kind of be real relaxed and, not look at anybody, don't smile. So, of course, my brain was getting really bored with this. So, all of a sudden, I started seeing like colors around things. And I'm like, oh, this is neat. I've heard about auras. I wonder if I'm seeing auras. So, when I went back into the college room, I looked around and I started seeing colors around the people. And I'm like, how cool is this? I'm seeing colors. I always felt them. I just didn't see them with with my eyes. So I knew that when you see green, it usually means that the person's a healer. So one woman had a really bright green aura. And it was lunchtime. The teacher says, okay, we've been silent all morning. Now you can go over to somebody and introduce yourself. So I walked over to this lady and I said, excuse me, I said, what do you do for a living? She goes, oh, I'm a nurse. So it confirmed I was seeing what I thought I was seeing. So that night I went home and I figured as a good Catholic girl, you say your prayer, right? So I said a prayer and I said, God, I said, if I'm seeing colors and something I never knew I can do before, there must be something you want me to do. I just don't know what it is. I don't know direction that you're sending me. So I was also at the same time, like before I got my master's degree, I was getting dreams about being masterful. I was seeing myself teaching adults. I'm like, I don't want to teach adult literacy. I'm a school teacher. So all this stuff was rolling around in my brain. So I went home and, I said my little prayer and I sat by my computer. And that's when the weirdness happened. So I'm sitting there real relaxed, and all of a sudden I get this searing heat from the top of my head down to the bottom of my feet. And it wasn't uncomfortable, but I knew it was something like that was really important. So I kind of sat up in my chair and I said, God, is that you? Well, it wasn't God, but it was Angel Uriel, which I didn't know until after I started channeling this reading from Angel Uriel. So I started just typing. I was told, put your hands on the keyboard. I didn't look behind me, but I felt there was almost like a military strong presence that was very caring. Wasn't scared at all. So I just said, okay. So I put my hands on the keyboard and I was told, just stay still. So I sat there and I started getting words like one at a time, slowly, as if I was the dumbest secretary ever. So by the time I was finished, I had about a page written, and I read it back to myself. I went, holy moly, I don't write like this. I don't talk like this. What the heck is this? So I didn't know what to do with it, right? So after I finished all that, I figured I would just kind of put it aside and not talk about it. So one of my friends invited me to go to a workshop with her. It was a meditation workshop. Lots of people were there. And I had this inner guidance to take this reading, put it in my pocket, and bring it because somebody that was there that I'm supposed to give this to. So I just said, all right, fine, I'm going to do it. So I put it in my pocket. And when I arrived at the event, there was lots of people there, and one man was sitting by himself. So I had this feeling like that was the guy, right? So I walked over to him and I handed him the reading. I said, "Excuse me, sir, but could you read this?" So he's reading through it. He goes, "Where'd you get this?" And I said, "Well, I channeled it." And he said, "Oh," he goes, "this is incredible." He says, "Do you know that this is Angel Uriel?" And I said, "No." And he said, "This is the one, this is the angel that kind of kicks you in the tush to get you on your spiritual path so you can help more people very, very quickly." So he told me like there was a lot of things like between the, behind where we don't see, there's like this pull of the light in the dark. There's a pull of evolved souls, not evolved souls. And there's this kind of struggle going on. And it's really all like our free will that we have to harness to decide what to do. So after he chatted with me a while, he said, he goes, keep doing this as long as you pray to God, and you're not praying to gosh knows who, you're praying to God, keep doing what you're doing. And then I said, by the way, sir, what do you do for a living? He was a minister. I'm like, how cool. I found the one person that really like did it for me because you don't want to break any spiritual laws or anything like scary. So he was a minister and I started laughing. I said, well, they directed me to like the right person at the right time. So that was one weirdness that happened. So after that, I decided that at some point, I had learned Reiki, so I was already using Reiki. And I was really guided to start a business along with teaching. I was teaching for 32 years, but like probably when I had probably 14 years left to finish teaching, I decided to start my business in 2000. So during that time, I set up my office. I was just doing Reiki. And all of a sudden, I got this inclination, and the voice kind of said to me, "We want you to teach about angels." And I went, "What?" I was channeling them for myself for like 3 years just to kind of learn. I'd already read across the whole library shelf for everything metaphysical and spiritual and religious you can find, right? So now they're guiding me to go speak on angels. So what I do is I say, listen, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to take this path up. There's a couple things. I said, first, I will never be in a trance. I do not want to be a trance medium ever. That's not my thing. I want to always be aware. Second, you've got to make it really obvious so that way when someone needs me, I will know. And third, if you really want me to do this, and this is my path, I will do it. And what they said was, this is your free will. It is your choice, but we will help you if you take up this path. So one day I go to my chiropractor's office and I'm sitting there and a lady's sitting there. She's looking at me. And there's nobody else in the waiting room. She looks right at me and says, "When the student is ready, the teacher will appear." And I'm looking around like, who's she talking to? And then it hits me that they were telling me that this is a lady that I needed to tell. So I said, "Oh," I said, "I teach about angels." I said, "I do workshops." Now, at the time, I hadn't done a workshop about angels, but she says, "Oh my God, tell me your information. I'm going to bring my whole family to your workshop." And that was way back. So, back in like 95, 96, I did my first workshop at my office. So after that, I knew that that's how they were going to guide me. So the next thing is I had this angel reading in my pocket, and the angels had guided me like kind of through my intuition. "We want you to take this with you in the car, and you're not busy today. We want you to drive. We'll tell you when to stop." I said, "Okay." So I followed it, and I don't hear voices, and I'm very normal, by the way, but So I decided to drive over, and it put me in front of a bookstore. So I said, all right, here we are. I went in, and there was a man by the desk. And I said to him, could you read this? So I gave the paper to him. And he says, oh my God, where'd you get this? I said, I channeled it. It's Angel Uriel. He goes, would you do a workshop here for me? He says, I'll get everybody for you. I'll set it up. You just show up. I said, okay. So he had about 20 people there, and I did a workshop in public. And during the workshop, one of the women that was there looked at me and she goes, I teach people how to like connect with their angels and get information, right? So they all tried it. And this one lady, she raised her hand. She goes, I have a message, but it's for you. I said, okay, what is it? She says, it's from your angel Celeste. And she says, good job. Now, no one knew my guardian angel's name except for me, and I thought it was a very silly name because there's a pizza I used to like called Celeste Pizza. So I'm thinking maybe it's just in my brain, Celeste Pizza, that's a dumb name. Apparently,
Mhm.
it was confirmed. Yeah, so that's the thing. Then the guy that hired me, when I'm talking to everybody, I started seeing him in priest robes. And I thought, this is odd. He's a bookstore owner. I'm seeing him in priest robes. What's going on? So after I got done talking, and he pulls me aside and he says, that was really amazing. And he looks at me, and I said to him, why did I see you in priest robes? I said, I kept getting a vision of you. And he said, well, he goes, I was back there listening the whole time. He said, when I was 17, he said, I was ordained to be a Catholic priest, and something scared me and pushed me off my path. And I was an atheist after that until tonight. And I'm like, whoa.
Oh, oh, chills went through me just now. Oh,
I,
wow.
It was so incredible to me how I was used
Oh,
to do that for this guy, right? I just thought that was the coolest. And
wow.
and after that, the woman that got my name, that got my angel name, she lost her daughter 2 months prior in a car accident. And so I wound up connecting with her after, and she came to my office, and I just sat and chatted with her for like an hour. I felt bad for her. And she goes, I wanted to know that my daughter was not just lost, she was somewhere. And you proved to me tonight that the angels and God are like with us, and everything will be okay. And she says, I'm still so devastated. She says, but you gave me hope. I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's probably why I love what I do so much, because of
Yeah,
these connections with people.
yeah,
Uh, but I've had a lot of these weird things throughout life, and it's always been, I always say there's kind of like these patterns or synchronicities as you go. You know, um, I had so many coincidences happen within a period of time. And I tell my people that take my courses, when you see a lot of those, that's you're kind of being shown your path that you forgot. Kind of like, the Hansel and Gretel, where you've seen little crumbs that, they'll
yeah.
say that little crumb that's your next step. And then if you take it up, then there's another one, and on till you get to where you're supposed to be. So yeah, I'm rambling. I'm sorry.
Oh
Do
no, you're doing
you
great. You're doing
okay?
great. Oh no, keep going. You're awesome. This
Okay,
is so
okay.
awesome.
Thank you. So other weirdness that happens is so I've been teaching Reiki since well, I learned in 96, right? So I've been teaching it since then, and I train people to all levels. And one of the things that happens, and this happened for me as well, is when you are first attuned, it opens up your healing channel to a greater degree, and you also start to get a stronger intuitive guidance. And I have found this with all the people that I've trained is that once I attune them, even for level one, they start making changes. I had one lady, like she just like left her marriage and this and that. But it wasn't because of the Reiki, but it was because she realized it was toxic to her. I had people change their diets. I've had people start seeing things. I had one of my clients, I'd worked with her, and it was so funny. She was looking for me. She heard about me from somebody. Now, she's been searching for me for several months, and then she finds out that I've been working in the same school as her, but she never knew it was me.
Oh,
So So we started chatting. I'm like, oh my God, you've been looking for me. I've been under your nose. I've been eating lunch here the same. We've been seeing each other every day. She never put it together that I was the one that was doing this like stuff that she wanted to know about. So
Wow.
yeah, so she booked a Reiki set class with me, and she learned Reiki all the way up to master level. And what's cool about it was, as a kid, she used to see spirits, and then she blocked it. You know, she was an artist, very talented woman. She started seeing spirits when she was really young. So after I attuned her to Reiki, all of a sudden her gifts opened up again that she forgot about, and she started reconnecting with the other side. Now that's something, that was pretty cool, but what happens is any gifts you already have dormant begins to open. And, I just thought that was incredible. When I was first attuned, I kept hearing like Native American singing, like hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, in my mind. And years later, and this happened years later, I went to see, I think his name is Rainbow Eagle. He did a talk in New Jersey, and I went to go see him. And when I was walking in, he's singing that exact same thing. And
Nice.
after I said to him, "What does that mean?" I said, "I heard that when I was, attuned to Reiki." He said, "It's a high vibration song we sing to call in the energy of the all what is, the creator." And that's exactly what I heard when I was attuned. I also had like incredible intuition. I was seeing stuff around people. I was getting like, their childhood traumas and like all kinds of stuff, past life, who they used to be, just by being in their presence or touching them. So I've kind of been able to like weave this into all the stuff that I teach and do with people.
Mhm.
So that's been another another whole fun thing to do. Yeah. So let's see what else now. So we don't divine realm, um, past lives. So I was getting a spontaneous recall of past lives, probably all along the way, but mostly within the past maybe 20 or 30 years. And in one of my dreams, I was holding a baby in my arms that I had lost, and I was a Native American woman, and I know that this little kid died, from some sort of virus, flu, or something that the white people brought in. And I remember like crumbling and waking up with this gut-wrenching cry. And my husband, like, he's like, "What is wrong?" He's used to me like waking up talking to things. I just said I had the most like intense vision of a life, and it felt so real that I didn't even know I was dreaming. Like I woke up and I'm like, oh my God, my heart is hurting. And a lot of us have those. We don't always know what they are, but they impact certain things about us in the here and the now. So like when I'm doing a reading or an angel communication reading for someone, I connect with them. I write it down before I ever meet them. I just have 3 or 4 questions. I hear their voice and I channel. And then I meet them after on Zoom or in person. And I get the like strangest connections from past life. Sometimes their fear will come up. Sometimes I'll get like what they're supposed to be doing, like where their kind of where their block or their gift was. Sometimes I get these strange family member connections. One that really stands out was I did a reading for a woman. She did not tell me what her fear was, so I did a reading. And as I'm, writing down all this stuff about her past life, it came in real quick. I saw her as a Roman sacrifice inside the Roman, what do you call that? The Colosseum, where they do the gladiator stuff. And I saw
Yeah.
Lon
Yeah.
kill her. So after her
Mm.
reading, it was really, really bad. So after the reading, I said, I read the whole thing to her. She goes, "Oh my God, oh my God." I go, "What's the matter?" She says, "I am so terrified of lions. I will not even go to the zoo. I can't watch them on TV. My grandson wants to go to the zoo. I can't go. I don't want to see any lions." She goes, "After the reading, the fear went because I said to her, that was years and years and years ago. This is now." I said, "You are having a trauma of something that happened to you ages ago and has nothing to do with now." So after the reading, she was able to go to the zoo with her grandson.
That's
So I thought
awesome.
really neat. Yeah. Other ones I
Yeah.
had family connections come up. Sometimes there's somebody that's in a past life that like I had one. really strange one. You know, when someone says, "Oh, that's my soulmate. I was destined. I felt it the moment I met them." That's a red flag to me because sometimes when you get that feeling, it's a person in a past life that you had such a strong connection with, doesn't mean it was a positive connection. So in my
Ooh,
friend's case, she bonded with this guy that killed her in a former life. And he was kind of like not a really nice guy. And this lifetime, he was very abusive. And what happened was after I did a few readings for her through the years because I'd known her a long time. And the last reading, I said, listen, it is your free will, but we're telling you that this person in a past has harmed you. And the reason why you're bonded now is you're supposed to learn the lesson to value yourself. And she did wind up leaving him. And then she told me a year prior, the guy had broken her jaw and threw her down the stairs. Like he
oh,
almost killed her in this lifetime. But it
mm,
took her another year before she had the courage after the reading to release him. And now she's worked on a lot of her like self-growth and loving herself and understanding. So I
right.
think those kind of things really, really charge me up. That's something that I was able to do has caused someone to move ahead and to be present with what's good for them, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. That is
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
I
Well,
know.
I know our time's probably getting coming up here, but
10 or
I
15
was
minutes. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
was kind of curious. Would you be open to doing a reading on me live here?
I don't know if I could do one live. I don't think I ever did it, but I'll try to tap into your energy field and
Okay.
I will see. So what I want to do is if you would give me a question. I'm going to tap into the energy of the question because I think that's the way it's going to be come to me. Okay?
Okay. Okay. So it's relating to jobs. Where should I go? When will I start doing my energy work?
Okay. So one of the things they're telling me is that the timing will be right for you when you get the feeling of, wow, I just have to do it. There's something that holds you back. So you're either blocking yourself with, I don't know where to do it, or the direction. There's something that's right in your way, but you're creating it because you're not sure yet. So I'm going to ask you, what kind of energy work do you do?
I am working on card reading. I am in my second class of doing that. It's a level
Okay.
two.
Okay.
And I have been told that I'm a medium and a channeler. So I'm hoping to jump into that.
Okay. So, couple things. Have you done mediumship work? Have you been trained at all to do that yet?
No, not yet. This class here is working on all of our clairs, so we are
Right.
tapping into it.
Okay, so a couple things that I want to tell you. So yes for the card reading for the first thing that you need to do, because that's going to give you practice tapping into your intuitive abilities. But what I'm saying for mediumship is you have to be very well grounded. You have to be able to distinguish and determine where your boundary is. So let's say you have a soul coming in like when you're sleeping. You've got to be able to say you don't belong in this space. You have to have a very clear parameter and you need really good training to do it. And it doesn't mean you can't, because everybody has different things to different degrees. But when you're working with things in that realm, the vibration of them is a little bit lower. And sometimes if a soul has not crossed over, like a ghost or whatever, that's very different than, let's say, my father or mother on the other side that I want to talk to. They've already been over the tunnel, they're clearer, they've got that vibration of love. The ones that are stuck, will really come in quick, but it may not be what you want to do. And that's very different. So spirit energy, like work that's stuck, is different than that. There are very good mediums that I have had on my podcast that I know and that have I've done readings for one of them. But there's a few mediums I know. And one of the things that they really, tell you to do is make sure you are really grounded and centered. You meditate, you know how to clear your energy field, you know how to set a boundary, and then you'll know if you're ready or not. So at this point, I keep feeling like you really need to get a really grounded person that can guide you. You'll know, like your intuition will tell you if that person is authentic and if that person has your highest good. Because everybody says they can do different things, but you have to be careful with what feels right to your heart and what feels right to you. If you get the ickies and the weirdness, like, oh, it's not going to be the right person. And my feeling is that light is always stronger than darkness. So even though there's darkness in the world, to me, I have light around me, and I believe strongly in like, faith and whatever. I'm protected. And I do work with people from all different backgrounds, even people that, are Wiccan or whatever. I don't care. But if your light is in you, you have the best buffer for anything that may like interfere with you. So that's the other thing I'll tell you. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of working on getting through to that spot. So that those are good pointers. So yeah, I'll
Yes. And
definitely.
I do guidance sessions for like I work with a lot of people that want to develop gifts. So I've taught people how to use cards just, but it's really all a tool to tap into your intuitive ability. Even with pendulums, I used to do a pendulum class, but I'd rather have you use your body as a pendulum, and I teach people how to do that because that's more accurate and it gives you a better understanding. And your body can't fool you. It's going to be right there with you, where sometimes if you don't know what you're doing with a pendulum, you could influence it with your brain. So you have to, there's ways to use certain tools that can be helpful to you.
Awesome,
Yeah, yeah,
awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
More
have kind of
questions?
I've played
Yeah,
with that recently.
yeah,
Again, is my body as my pendulum. So yeah,
yes.
that's kind of
That's
fun
that's a
too.
good thing to do. Yeah, yeah. Do you have any other questions? Because I can see what else I can come up with here.
Oh, so what has been your greatest joy story?
Okay, besides being a grandmother, because I've got two grandkids, which bring me great
Congratulations.
joy, and a mother, my son is an adult, of course. I just I love seeing people's faces light up when they discover something that they never thought they could do before. So when I teach like an intuition workshop, people light up. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I knew that. I didn't know I could do that. I'm looking at a photo. I didn't know I could read that photo. And people that have no, like, they never did it before, and all of a sudden they realize that they have all this stuff underneath, that if they work with it, they can make it stronger. It could guide them. It could make them feel like more peaceful in their life. So it's really pretty cool that that people can do that. So that really lights me up. I also love to write. So I have 10 published books, and I write middle grade fiction, YA, which is young adult, and primary. My wheelhouse is YA or middle grade, 11 to 14s. Love it. So I'm working on a couple books now, and they're on my website, and I love that.
Awesome, awesome.
Yes.
So, what is one of your most scariest, I guess, experience?
Oh, I got a good one for you. So when
Oh,
I first started channeling, at the time I had to go to the doctor. I needed a biopsy, and I was a little scared of it, right? So I had
mhm.
to go to the doctor for that, and that was in my mind. And one night I'm sleeping, and all of a sudden, this now I have this what's called hypnagogic sleep, where you're like awake but you're asleep, like a dolphin. Your brain's awake but you're asleep. A
Okay.
guy walks in a room, and it scared me. It was wearing one of those cloaks. It had red eyes, it had long fingernails, and it put its
Mm,
hand on my head, and it says, "You're going to die." And then it laughs at me. And I knew it was
scary.
trying to scare me off my path. And I believe it was probably a gatekeeper, because I was starting to channel. And I knew that if I was able to meet with people, I can really change things, right? So it scared me so much. So what I did was it stopped me for 2 days. And I just said a prayer. And I said, if this thing comes back, I'm just going to pray. So the next time it came to my room, it was this big. And it stood by my husband's side of the bed. And it says, if I can't get you, I'm going to get him. And he said he woke up the next morning. He was terrified. He said, I had the worst bad dream. He says, I don't know
Mm,
what it was. He says, it terrified me. So, of course, I prayed in the room. I sealed it with light. I did all the things that I needed to do. And I told him, listen, you've got to say a prayer and just ask for protection. And he did. And it never came back. but it scared me so much when I first saw this gigantic thing with the hood and the eyes and the nails. Oh my gosh, that scared me. But it
Oh,
wasn't
I
enough
bet.
to stop me. It wasn't enough to stop me. So yeah.
Yay!
That's why I'm still doing what I do. And I always tell people, if you're afraid of it, you're giving it power. So temporarily I was afraid of it, but I refuse to give it power and let it stop me from doing what I have to do. So that's kind of where I where I
Good for
wound up.
you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, we're pretty much at the end of our time. So I think right now would be a good time to kind of close it up.
Yeah.
And
Can I mention my
uh,
website, how people can find me? That's okay.
definitely, definitely
Yeah,
throw it
okay.
out there.
All right. So rosemaryd.com. Okay, or info@rosemaryd.com. And you could find I have two websites, my spiritual website and my book website side by side. And then you can catch me on my Tuesday morning 10 a.m. podcast on the Light Walker's Path, Grow Your Spirit with Rosemary, 10 Eastern on Bold Brave Television. But rosemaryd.com, that's my website. And I would love for people to connect and maybe try out some of my self-study courses I have there or book a session with me.
Yeah, and I will put that in the comments below, all that information.
So much. It was
Yeah,
such a pleasure talking to you tonight.
I've had so much fun. I had so much fun. So I may have to check into some of your classes and kind of see what we can do with that. So
Yes,
I'm
thank you.
excited.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Yes.
that'd be
Thank
awesome.
you so much. Yeah, so then you'll let me know when this is broadcast so I can put it on my calendar to watch or to post.
You got it.
Okay.
You
All
got
right.
it.
Good.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Uh-huh. Well, if anyone out there has any stories they would like to share, feel free to email me at lighttalk423@gmail.com. And while you're at it, click on the like, share, and subscribe buttons down below. All right. And we will talk with everyone later. And thank you, Rosemary, for being with
Thank you
us
so
today.
much. Thank
All
you.
right. We'll talk to everybody later. Bye.
Bye.